Yeah, hi. Welcome to Landscapes for Better Living, and I'm Jay Archer, and we're here with Clare Sherwood.
Hi, how you doing? Okay.
And what we're doing is we're just interested in what your experience is here in your landscape in Bedford. You've been here a while, and you have this beautiful pastoral, bucolic, ecologically, naturally beautiful landscape. And how do you feel about it?
Well, I love it, and I'm the reason why we have you doing our landscape instead of some, just person who just comes and mows, because I wanted to feel like it was a whole thing, like I was encouraging the wildlife, the plant life. I'm sort of toying with the idea of going to trying to go to more, almost a certified backyard, and trying to get some more
National
food
wildlife
plants,
habitat,
sort of put some more food plants in and stuff.
A little bit more permaculture principles, maybe.
But
you already have that, because you got a fruit garden.
Yeah, we got the fruit garden.
And you got the tower garden on the deck, so you're growing food.
Right. And but to me, most of the things about what I love about outside are very emotional to me. And one of the things is the depth of trees. And
now we're getting somewhere.
There's a passive park back there.
Right.
And I love getting the flocks of turkeys that come in. And last week we had a flock of like 10, which is the first time I've seen those in a while. And in the springtime, when all the toms are here and they're all spreading their tails, and that part is really great. It was funny last week because I could tell they came to see if there was any food in the bird feeder.
Right. You spoiled them.
I spoiled them. They came up to the bird feeder, which I have not filled recently, and they looked around and then they left.
But they remember. They remember. Well, it's pretty interesting because you talk about the trees, and you have a succession of a second growth forest basically going on, and then you're bordering this green area that also hasn't been logged in 50 to 100 years. So all of this is growing back, and even though you've lost some trees naturally and you've taken a couple of things out over time, you have a real vibrant woodland. And it's also part of the continuous wetland, because not only are you downslope from your neighbors and everything else, but naturally, this is a naturally occurring going in towards a forested wetland, which is a very precious, rare.
Right. You know what it is down there, right? There's a marsh at the bottom of that slope, which is a gentle slope that goes down there. So I love bordering that, and I love the fact that last year I had turkeys practically come up to my hands because they could tell I was filling the feeder. I find funny caterpillars that will crawl on my deck, and I have a caterpillar which had huge, tufts sticking out of it all over. I've never seen it anywhere before. I have no idea what kind of caterpillar it was. All different colors.
But it's going to be a moth or a butterfly.
Yes.
It's part of your pollinator pathways. There you go. I mean, your house, you look out at nature. You look out at your landscape environment all seasons, 24 hours a day. It's a lot of glass at the back.
Yeah.
So the sun comes in, and you're relatively very much in tune with the seasons. It's hard to improve upon nature. And meanwhile, this is all man-made because all the trees were gone once upon a time. This is all, post-agricultural land. This is all manipulated from the native peoples and the first, First Nations, right through time, through colonial America. There's no such thing as wilderness here, really. This was always a habitat for people and animals. So somebody was managing the forest, managing the water in time, and now you're doing it. And what's most interesting to me is that you appreciate it, and you're aware of it, and it's meaningful to you.
We still feel a connection to what it's supposed to be outside, that you want to go outside, you want to walk around in your bare feet, and I want to dig in the ground with my hands.
See, she does that. She's grounded.
I'm grounded.
But anything that will get people to reconnect with nature, and how we can be a voice for nature, how can we speak for the plants and the animals and the soil and the water and the fields and the forest and the wetlands, how we can reconnect with our own nature and that spirit of the wild.
Right.
Then the birds migrating, we see, animals here that we won't see in the winter. We have, certain species that are going to be year-round residents like ourselves here, and then we have a lot of transient migratory species. And where would be without all of this diversity of life? So we have a pocket of diversity. Really, it's a little habitat oasis, which is critical more and more when we talk about pollinator pathways and we talk about biotic corridors. And how do we connect the dots? How do we give the wildlife a place to go that they're not just captured and imprisoned here and then they have to cross miles of road and infrastructure. Right. Everything comes on this property that goes off this property. The quality of the water is improved going to a watershed wetland, and that's critical because you're downhill and you have water coming off the road. You have water coming off all adjacent properties with all these lawns that we don't know what's being applied to those lawns, and it's coming all across your basically cultivated forested wetland and eventually winding up in a proper wetland.
Right.
You don't have an irrigation system, which you certainly didn't need this year, but there are times when you're growing food and you're trying to make it through a drought situation. With 1 inch of rain a week on an average, that's all your big trees need, your native trees. You don't need to feed them, you don't need to take care of them. Your landscape plants may need a little bit more, but they'll also withstand periods of drought and inundation. And that's why we have to consider what kind of plants are going to be here. What kind of landscapes, or what are we going to look like 5 or 10 years from now? If we have a lot of years like this, a lot of the plants that like dry periods, they're going to be gone. Why do we see mostly hardwood forests? Well, because this is what you see in the South. You'll see maybe, white pines in North Carolina. You'll see pines in the Pine Barrens of Jersey. But for the most part, you can see what we call mixed hardwood forest, which is predominantly what we have in this eastern forest. And that's okay. Whatever we have, that's okay. But to be aware of it and to appreciate it, whatever it is, and to appreciate that we're only part of it. It's not all about us. It's about our relationship to other life on Earth.
Right.
The birds, the animals, the turkeys, all of these things. We're lucky.
We have to encourage and support the pollinators,
right.
For sure.
So thanks for once again being a model citizen and a model for not just ecological landscaping, but just really being here with a commitment to the land. So thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you like what you've seen, check out our website, greenjadelandscaping.com.